different types of ways that people are mainly looking at this. You've got, as far as Manziel and whether he plays or not, you've got the solid okay, let me break this down. I'm not going to give you percentages and all that stupid stuff, but of the group of people who want to see John Manziel as the quarterback of the Browns, at least 60 to 70% of it are willing to acknowledge with that they're admitting that the season is over, that they're not attempting to win more games, that it's about developing the quarterback. Then there's about another 30% there of that group that truly thinks that he could win more games the rest of the season than Brian Hoyer. That's the argument that I have a problem with, and that's where I think the door is still open. As crazy as this sounds, and I said it yesterday, I still expect tomorrow. I just don't see Mike Pettine going back, but I did say it with John McMullen. If there's a coach that will do it, it is him. And yesterday, he backed himself out of it a little bit. If you listen to what he said, if he talked after we went off the air, we were talking yesterday about Brian Hoyer's comments, but if you listen to what Mike Pettine said yesterday, hold on a second. I absolutely disagree. See, what Bruce just said right there is ridiculous. I just want to see good, exciting football, not a win is a win BS. I'm sorry. I'd rather watch bad wins than exciting losses. I'm sorry, brother. Sorry, man. Call me silly, but I like winning more than anything else, plain and simple. And I don't care how it's done. I don't care if you run the ball 50 times for 100 yards, eat up 40 minutes of the clock, and you win the game 7-3. I'll take it all day long if I can win 14 of those. No, that's a loser mentality, Bruce. I just want to see an exciting game, and I don't care who wins. That's the definition of a loser mentality. I don't care if we win, only if the game is exciting. That means I don't care if we win or lose. Get out of here, man. You're not going to argue a dead point with me. What you're saying is wrong. Maybe you're stating it wrong. Maybe you mean something else. But what you're saying is the definition of winning and losing doesn't matter. That's plain and simple. All right, going back to the point that I was making, though, is of that, again, looking at that, and the way people are looking at this situation with Manziel, do you acknowledge that you're seeing what you've got? And this is why I think the door is open to Mike Pettine. It's not just, listen, you guys, I'm not just talking about Bruce or anybody specifically. There's tons of comments. Everything that you see is different people all say the same things, different things. So it's just groups of people, and there's just certain people who I'm noticing their comments here, that make it to the forefront of our discussion, you guys. And if you're looking for that chat room, it's on Mixler, mixlr.com. But keep your conversation rolling, because that's what makes this thing lovely and exciting and all of that stuff. But here's where I think the door is still open tomorrow for Mike Pettine to say Brian Hoyer's going to start this weekend. Because to me, I don't know. You would have to know if that locker room 100% wants or believes in John Manziel. Now, if they do, then it becomes easy to move forward with him. But if not, how do you walk around to Joe Thomas? How do you walk around to the guys that have been there? Joe Hayden just said, we've never won this many games since I've been here before. How do you go to those guys and say, hey, we got to see what we got in the kid? Because you can wait 2 weeks and then say, we got to see what we got in the kid once you're eliminated from the playoffs. Everybody wants to say, well, the Browns are somewhere from 10th to 11th, 12th in the tiebreakers. I don't care about tiebreakers. The division is up for grabs. Nobody's getting a wild card out of this division. The winner of this division is making the playoffs. And last I checked, of the 4 games remaining, the Browns still have 2 in the division, including one against Cincinnati, who's in first place. Now, they don't completely control their own destiny because Cincinnati has that half a game with the tie. So, absolutely, they still would need some help there. But the division is how these teams are getting in. There's going to be double-digit teams that miss the playoffs, no doubt in the AFC this year, and we'll get more into some playoff talk and the playoff races later when we get Dr. Football on the show here later on in the first hour. But along those lines, and again, I'm not picking specific people. I mean the veteran guys in the locker room. You at that point have to know that when you look at Joe Thomas, and I know you're the coach, and these guys will do whatever. Listen, these guys will play no matter who Mike Pettine puts out there. They're going to go out there and try to do their job. But when you go in front of them and you say, we're making this change while we still have a shot at the playoffs, you can say it's an outdoor shot or outside shot, a back your way in shot. You can call it whatever you want. These players know that they can win this division. And I'm just saying, when you have to know that they believe that this is going to still be competitive, because otherwise, how do you look at those guys and say, I know you fought for me for 3/4 of the season. You gave me everything you got, but we got to see what this kid's got, because there's going to be a lot of people that's not going to work with. And I'm just saying that can be avoided one more week. It's very easy to talk to Brian Hoyer and let him know that this is it. Kid, we're running out of time. Not to save the season. We're running out of time before the season's over, and we have to start getting ready for next year. Go out there this weekend. Go play. Go play. Throw it out there, because if we make the switch again, we're not going back. And then boom. And you've been fair to everybody. You've still given your team the opportunity to go out there. You've given Brian Hoyer the opportunity to go out there. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder anymore, because he knows that if it's over, it's over. Because if you lose this game, it's over most likely anyway, because you'll be at least 2, if not 2.5 games back in the division, depending on what happens with 3 to play. And that's truly, now you need a miracle. So at that point, it becomes very easy with 1 home game left to say, or back to back here, to say, now we're going to put Manziel back out there the week after that. So it's very simple to do this. And that's why I say Mike Pettine, we saw what is wrong with me? We saw the way it went down in the preseason. He's the guy that would definitely stand behind that decision. Absolutely. Will he make it? I don't know. I just don't know if this is the week to go in front of your team and say, we're making this switch. Maybe you do it. Maybe you're hoping to get lightning in a bottle. But I will say this. Your team will probably feel this way of what I'm about to say. If he truly gave us the better chance to win, wouldn't you have played him a little bit sooner than now? Because now you're just saying, well, let's just throw it out there and see what happens. And to me, if I'm a player on a team that's 7-5 and hasn't seen 7 wins, perhaps in my career, I'm wondering and questioning why we're throwing away 3/4 of the season so we can see what's up for next year. Hell, I may not be on this team next year. And I know all of that is part of being a professional, you guys. And again, I'm not even voicing my opinion on either side of the argument. I'm just saying this is where we're at, and it's going to be a very interesting decision. And I was really sure that it was going to be Manziel until Mike Pettine spoke yesterday. And now I'm like, man, he had every opportunity to back himself in the corner, and he wouldn't do it. And then they followed up by asking him if whatever decision he makes this week is going to be the final quarterback decision. And he said, I don't even want to make that statement because I don't want to paint myself into that corner as well. That really made me think, man, he's thinking about giving Hoyer one more week, and because then he can say, I told you this wasn't a permanent decision. And he continued to stress that it's a week-by-week decision here, simply in all hands-on-deck mode, trying to get this thing done and win your way into the division title. So I truly believe if they were even one more game out of the division, there is no thought process to Mike Pettine's decision here. But I'll tell you, it's an awful sell. And I am a supporter of Brian Hoyer as the quarterback, but I'm right there with you guys that he has struggled for the last 3 games or so. That being said, a lot of people do that. There's a lot of people on this team that have had 3 or 4 game stretches where they didn't play well. I'm not making any excuses. Brian Hoyer, it's put up or shut up as far as You've opened the door back up to this. You did a good job for a while of staving it off. Now it's open. Had you played better, this door would have never been open. But I would not have a problem with giving him, you know what? I saw somebody yesterday left us a comment. Oh, I don't have it in front of me. I want to give credit. I'll look at during the break. But a lady left a comment yesterday that made perfect sense. Said the kid played his best football of the season in the fourth quarter. I want to see him play in the fourth quarter of a season. And that made sense to me. I said, you know what? The guy's clutch. And we've talked about how jokingly every time they've warmed up Johnny, or he's anything, he hears the footsteps and he comes out and he has a drive, and you're like, what happened? He just flipped the switch on, just like a couple weeks ago in Atlanta at the end of that game, and when he got hurt and he thought Manziel may be coming in, and then a couple of weeks ago he leads the drive, and you're like, man. But anyways, I would like to see that as well. And then you don't set Manziel up to be put in a bad situation either, because if you make the change now, what we talked about yesterday is the reality. You are telling everybody that he is the white knight. We're putting our playoff hopes into his hands, and that will work for the portion of the fan base that does not believe that there's any possibility for the Browns to win any games the rest of this season. But I can tell you that of the people that got a hold of us over the last 36 hours, 70% of that fan base absolutely believes that the Browns are still very much in contention for the division. So you have the counter there, because even the ones that are still like, pounding on Hoyer are saying, but if Manziel was that much better, he would have already been in there a few weeks sooner. It's interesting. And the opinions, I love it. Keep them coming in. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. We'll keep talking about this with Dr. Football here in a little bit. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. He's going to join us next. We're going to talk. Matter of fact, he writes for Browns101.com too. I want to get his opinion on this, of course. But we're going to talk about this, and we'll talk about some more. Dr. Football, Bill Checkus, joins us a little bit later on as we kick off hour 2. Doug Plagens of the Lake Erie Monsters, and so much more still to come. We're talking Hoyer and Manziel, Browns, Ray Rice. Doug Plagens is here talking Monsters. But coming up next, we'll talk a little baseball, a little Indians. Jeff Gorman's here, and so much more still to come. Don't go anywhere if you haven't figured it out. We just got rolling on this edition of the Sports Fix, baby. We'll be right back after this.
That's right. What have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah. What have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back.
Sports Fix listeners, you've heard me talking about it. Millionaires being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. I've been playing there too. It's now J-Rock's favorite one-week fantasy football site. What's one-week fantasy football? That means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Have a player who's hurt? That's no problem at all, because you change everything week to week. Injuries don't derail your chance at victory. It's a new season every week. You're never stuck with the same players. You can pick your team in just minutes and be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day. $1 million just for playing fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play for free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Football season is party season at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. Everyone wins at Harry Buffalo. Every Saturday is Coors Light College Football Saturday with $6 pitchers, 4 bottles.